A community is coming together to advocate for its student athletes. An open congressional seat leads to a crowded primary race. And in sports, Ohio's alumni basketball team is ready to hit the court for the basketball tournament. Newswatch starts right now. Good evening and welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. I'm Lexi Lepoff. A Chillicothe man was convicted today of raping two women. 25-year-old Grant Sims, formerly of Athens, was indicted last year on 4 counts of rape involving 3 college-aged women. After 4 days of trial, an Athens County jury found Sims guilty of 2 of the 4 rape counts. One happened in October 2018 in a car in Sims' driveway and involved a woman he met at a bar. The other was in September 2019 and involved a woman who was unable to consent because she was intoxicated. Sims also faced charges of theft and identity fraud. Those charges arose from him stealing one of the rape victim's credit cards and identification card. He pled guilty to those charges on Wednesday. Sims could face a maximum sentence of 23 to 28 years in prison. Judge Patrick Lane ordered him to be taken into custody without bond, with the sentencing hearing set to be scheduled in the coming weeks. A mayor in Western Ohio has been indicted on public corruption charges involving business deals with his family and his own company. The Auglaize County grand jury indicted Wapakoneta Mayor Thomas Steinbog yesterday on charges of theft in office, conflict of interest, and unlawful interest in public contract. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost says Steinbog is accused of having the city pay for a sewer line on a property being developed by his own company. Steinbog told the Lima News today he never directed anything to be done on his behalf. First Energy will pay a $230 million fine in a plea deal with federal prosecutors. This deal comes as a result of federal investigation into the bailout for Ohio's 2 nuclear energy plants. But some are saying state leaders have not done enough to prevent backroom dealing that can lead to scandals like this. Officials, including Common Cause Ohio Catherine Terser, says transparency in the Capitol is needed.
We don't create greater transparency, we're just going to end up where we started. We're just going to have scandal after embarrassing scandal after embarrassing scandal. And that means we need to actually create greater transparency so that, in fact, our elected officials are accountable to everyday Ohioans, to the voters, rather than to wealthy special interests.
Turner says legislation to increase transparency in government has been put on the back burner, and House Bill 6 created controversy around the 2020 election. But it's unknown how this will affect the 2022 voters.
Hi there, I'm your weatherman Curtis Fader, and taking a look outside, it is a beautiful day outside. Taking a look at that dusk skyline, perfect temperatures out there, and taking a look at this week in Athens right now for the week ahead. Actually, right now in Athens, it's 77 degrees, easy peasy, nice and breezy with 5-mile-an-hour winds. Perfect night to go out on the town, walk your dog, do whatever outdoor activity you please. And in addition to that, we're going to take a look at around the region, if we can see that. There we are, 77 degrees in Athens. It's actually the lowest temperature right now in the region so far, but over on the western side, you can see 82 in Columbus, 81 in Chillicothe, 80 in Jackson, 82 in Ironton. Those are kind of the hotter side of it on that western front. And you can see some hot spots in 82 degrees in Ripley and 80 in New Martinsville, mostly upper 70s and lower 80s right now in the southeastern Ohio area. And over to you, Lexi.
Alexander students and parents want an upgrade for their athletes. Dylan Tyson reports how these advocates are looking to the Albany community for financial support.
For 14 years, Alexander student athletes have been running on the same track. But this coat of rubber is showing its age and has been for years. Athletes and parents spoke out at Wednesday's school board meeting, saying it's time for an upgrade.
Our track is undeniably unsafe for athletes to properly practice on, causing athletes to not be at their full potential when it comes to the day of the meet.
breaks and cracks like these plague the entire Alexander track. During the season, standing water, mud, and even ice make their homes here. So what are students doing to train? According to head coach Nathan Schaller, there is no other option.
I had regional qualifiers this year for sprinters and distance, all of which had injuries. It's hard on the sprinters, it's hard on the distance kids. Our field events, we can barely practice, really.
Ahead of major meets, this team actually keeps their athletes off the track. Cracks and holes in the track were patched in 2012, but to no avail. In the years since, no teams have competed at Alexander. So how did things get this bad? A recent land survey revealed a major issue below the surface. The track was built on a slope.
From the start of the 110 to the finish line is 11.5 inches that you're running uphill. We have to go all the way down to below the base and start again.
With 2 lanes out of commission on a track already too small for Ohio athletic regulations, Alexander has become the only school in the Tri-Valley Conference unable to host meets.
It's not a want, it's a need. And we've needed it for a while, and we've kind of made do, but now we're to the point where we're past the make do, and we got to get something figured out.
Norris says if action is not taken soon, the future of Alexander's track program is at stake.
Well, if you don't have a place to practice, if you don't have a place to do things safely, what are you going to be able to put on for these kids just to go show up to run track meets? That's not an option.
A committee of parents and coaches is working to present the board with different options for an updated track, along with cost estimates. But that's the biggest hurdle to be cleared: funding. Instead of a levy, the committee is looking into fundraising and cost-cutting opportunities.
It's going to ruffle feathers no matter how we do. We're talking about spending money for athletics, which is always a tough thing, but we're going to try to get donations to cover some. There's no way we'd be able to cover it all by any means.
For the athletic boosters, this is more than an investment in a single program.
At this point, we're really looking for community input. We want that discussion to happen. We want to hear what they have to say. You know, is it just this site? What other improvements can we make? How else can it impact other students and other programs? That's what we're looking for right now.
For Newswatch, Dylan Tyson in Albany.
Alexander School Board members will be presented the project proposal at their next meeting, August 11th. In the meantime, Norris is encouraging members to visit the track and see the damage for themselves. A new effort to give a voice to the communities surrounding Ohio University and elections in Cleveland are heating up. These stories and more when Newswatch returns. Ohio University President Hugh Sherman said at his first press conference earlier this month he wanted to rethink how the university serves the Appalachian community. Will Price reports on one of the first steps he has taken working with mayors around Southeast Ohio.
Mayors from cities with Ohio University's regional campuses will meet with President Sherman next month for the first time. Zanesville Mayor Donald Mason says he was excited when approached by Athens Mayor Steve Patterson with the idea.
I told him I would, obviously welcome the opportunity to create more communication, more dialogue, so that we have a synergy between all the municipalities in Southeast Ohio and Ohio University.
Patterson says the idea started back in May when he approached the mayors about their interest in being a part of the search committee for the university's new president.
I worked closely with the other mayors to bring us together as a group and to see initially, are you interested in being a part of this? And first it started as the search committee, but then it kind of morphed into meeting with the president of Ohio University.
The change is much needed, according to Lancaster Mayor David Scheffler. He says regional campus communities have been given low priority in the past by the administration.
I don't believe that the regional campuses, the regional campus communities have had a voice with the OU administration.
University spokesperson Carly Leatherwood says Sherman is looking forward to working with these communities.
The meeting with the regional mayors is a really important part of President Sherman's strategic priorities for the next 2 years. Building stronger community partnerships is one of his primary goals.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Will Price.
The meetings are scheduled to happen on a quarterly basis, with the first taking place on August 3rd. A bill has been introduced in the Ohio legislature that would levy stiff fines and penalties on cities that dump raw sewage into the western basin of Lake Erie. Republican Representative John Cross calls the amount of sewage piling up disgusting, citing a 2010 estimate that says there are at least 41 billion gallons of sewage in Lake Erie alone. His bill would increase penalties significantly, and repeat offenders could face more than $1 million in fines. Cross also says lawmakers need to find federal dollars to pay for sewer upgrades for cities that don't have adequate sewage plants. A crowded Republican primary for an open U.S. House seat is testing former President Donald Trump's influence within the party. Ohio's red-leading 15th district is up for grabs after Representative Steve Stivers resigned in May to lead the Ohio Chambers of Commerce. The gerrymandered district includes all of 12 central Ohio counties. Trump says candidate Mike Carey is the best choice for the special election primary in August. Stivers, on the other hand, is supporting first-term state representative Jeff Lair. Some GOP candidates are bringing their Ohio legislative background to the table, including State Senator Stephanie Kunz, State Senator Bob Peterson, and former State Representative Rod Hood. The winners of both parties' primaries will face off on November 2nd. A local election in Cleveland, meanwhile, is also heating up. Candidates for mayor and city council say their political signs are being stolen and defaced. One couple even had their yard sign blown up. Chris Mitchell and his wife have always been engaged in local elections and typically show their support for their candidate with a choice of yard sign. But Saturday, they found their yard sign supporting Ward 7 City Council candidate TJ Dow was destroyed. Police said the destruction was caused by an M80 firecracker, and the candidate was shocked at this behavior.
I've been in politics for a while, but I have never ever experienced anything like this before in my life.
Unfortunately, Dow is not the only candidate experiencing this issue. Mayoral candidate Sandra Williams says she's had 150 signs taken out of the same ward. The primary election for the city council and mayor's race is scheduled for September 14th. A big bipartisan infrastructure deal on the table in D.C. That story still ahead.
And we've received a reprieve from the hot temperatures, but will we get to enjoy it for a while? Find out more on my full forecast up next. But first, here's a look at stocks of local interest. Hi there, I'm your weatherman Curtis Fader today, and by the way, did I mention it is beautiful out today? Nice and breezy, 77 degrees right now in Athens. Go out, walk your dog, throw a frisbee to your dog. Do whatever outdoor activity you so please. It is beautiful out with that 5 mile an hour breeze over there. It is a beautiful day outside right now in Athens as we speak. Taking a look at our region in the southeast Ohio area, 77 is actually for Athens the lowest temperature currently right now compared to the rest of the southern Ohio region. And so we can see 82 is the high up here with Columbus, and it's going to be really much more hot on the western front, 81 in Chillicothe, 80 in Jackson, and 82 in Ironton. And we're also seeing some hot spots at 82 in Ripley and 80 in New Martinville. However, I say hot spot, I should more say warm spots, because compared to what we've been seeing this past week, these temperatures are really nice. And taking a look tonight in Athens, 67 degrees once again, beautiful, 80% humidity as well, so maybe the air will feel a little bit wetter, but ultimately amazing to go outside. And it's also not too cool to the point where you have to put on that windbreaker, also with the 25% chance of rain. So maybe pack an umbrella, have a little night in the rain with the moonlight on you, a little aesthetic there. And taking a look over into our southeast Ohio for tonight, 67, 68, upper 60s is what's going to be expected throughout the region. And taking a look at hour by hour tonight, it starts out 78 degrees, but then we're going to drastically decrease to 70 degrees with some humidity alongside it as well. 68, not much of a difference at midnight. And taking a look at tomorrow, be very sure to cherish what we have right now, because then it is going to jack up tremendously to 89 degrees with a 9 out of 10 UV index. So if you see that sunscreen on the table, make sure to use some and put it on yourself before you go outside, because it is going to be that hot type of day with the 60% humidity as well. And also, we have some more weather coming at you if we can find it. There it is, Southeast Ohio, 89 degrees throughout the area. That's kind of the main median average, with a bit of a high in Ironton and New Martinsville, West Virginia. And taking a look at your morning commute tomorrow. Well, we might have a morning commute tomorrow. Maybe you stay in, but maybe you don't. You go into your car and you see that it's 62 degrees at 6 a.m. with that humidity as well, partly cloudy, and then it's going to jack right up 12 degrees from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 77 degrees. The heat will make its presence. And taking a look at your 7-day forecast, it's going to be 89 degrees tomorrow, but we're also going to see maybe some scattered storms on Sunday at 89 degrees. But as you see, as the clouds go away, the heat comes out to play with 89 degrees on Monday, 92 on Tuesday, and the high for your week, 93 on Wednesday. And then the clouds will return as we go 88 Thursday and 86 on Friday. Back over to you, Lexi.
Senate Republicans voted on Wednesday against starting debate on an infrastructure deal, in part because it's not done. So President Joe Biden is looking ahead to Monday. He expects lawmakers to come to an agreement then on the bill. In theory, it would be $1.2 trillion in total spending, with nearly $600 billion to repair physical infrastructure like roads and bridges and bolsters broadband networks. The bipartisan group of lawmakers say they are close to a final agreement, but Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman says Democrats need to be more reasonable about one of the sticking points in the negotiation.
Transit funding has not yet been resolved, and that's important, but if we can't resolve it, then we could leave that out. I hope not, but Democrats, frankly, are not being reasonable in their requests right now. We've got a very generous offer out there that provides a significant increase in funding over the next 5 years.
The federal government is buying 200 million additional doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine. The company says just over half of the shots will be delivered by the end of the year. The remaining doses will be available by the end of April 2022. The U.S. announced in June it was buying 500 million doses of the vaccine to donate to other countries. In the meantime, U.S. demand has regressed to its slowest pace since January. The CDC says about 252,000 Americans are fully vaccinated each day. And Dr. William Schaffner warns that a large unvaccinated population may be postponing our return to normalcy.
There's spillover into vaccinated people. Fortunately, they tend to get mild disease, but nonetheless, there's spillover into vaccinated people. We could all bring this to a close if everyone who were unvaccinated would just come in, get vaccinated tomorrow. Within 2 weeks to a month, COVID would go way, way down.
Happy Friday, everyone. Coming up in sports, Lancaster Golden Gales will have a new football coach come the fall. Find out how he's adapting to the new position later on. And Ohio University's alumni basketball team is ready to begin its quest for $1 million. Hear from the head coach ahead of tomorrow night's game right after the break. And be sure to stay tuned to WLUB. Here's what's coming up tonight on your public television station. Welcome back, I'm Brian Kerp. Ohio 1804 is prepared to hit the court tomorrow in Columbus for the basketball tournament. Ohio 1804 will take on Xavier's alumni team Zip 'em Up as the number 14 seed in the Columbus region. Head coach Deron Simmons says he and his squad are not worried about the seeding and anything could happen.
None of these teams have been playing together and practicing for years or for months and months. So everybody, I feel, has an equal slate. It's just about who's the most competitive and who can defend the best.
Tomorrow's game will air on ESPN2 and tip-off is set for 8 p.m. from the Covelli Center. For the first time in 20 years, Lancaster will have a new head football coach. Nick Veland reports on how the new coach is fitting in so far.
Rob Carpenter retired in November and ended a 23-season career as head coach at Lancaster High School. Brian Schoonover, assistant coach for the Golden Gales from 2010 to 2012, has returned to lead Lancaster, and he said he has some big shoes to fill.
Coach Carpenter's a legend. He's a guy that he is Lancaster football. He is blue and gold. He is the representation of what this program is and will always be, and that's a tough, hard-nosed, energy guy who's team first, kid first, and just trying to carry that on and build off it my own way a little bit are kind of the things that I'm just trying to do personally, but no pressure now.
Schoonover comes from being head coach at Groveport for 7 seasons and knows what it takes to get players on the winning mentality.
When you come to practice and what you preach is what you do, kids see that and they kind of feed off of it, and it's been fun.
From the player's perspective, the change is just as noticeable, and the impact it has on the offseason is major.
Momentum switch. Everyone has a lot more pride in playing for Lancaster. Everyone's playing harder, faster. Everyone's trying to grow instead of just getting through practice and getting it done. Everyone's putting 100% throughout the whole practice. So I think that's the biggest impact he has on our team so far.
And Schoonover has a strict policy whenever he sees the energy isn't there.
Comes into a room and it's quiet, he walks out and comes back in and is like, I need to hear something. Every time he walks in a room, we're always clapping. We're sitting in the locker room waiting for the final meeting on the out. He walks in, we all cheer. It's just a ton of energy that he brings, whether he does it himself or just we feed it off of him.
For Newswatch, I'm Nick Vila.
The Golden Gales are busy preparing for their opening game against Pickerington North on August 20th. I'm Brian Kerp, and that's it for sports. Back over to you, Lexi.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. I'm Lexi Lepoff. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at woub.org.